Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Business of Fun podcast. Today's episode is brought to you in part by my friends at Booking Protect, the global leaders in refund protection. As I've mentioned many times before, since the pandemic has been going on, tickets have started to go back on sale. The Booking Protect data shows that over a third of people are taking up refund protection. This is a clear indication from behavior that people are looking for peace of mind and security in their purchases. Visit them at www.bookingprotect.com and find out how you can offer your customers refund protection. But you can also create a brand new stream of revenue for yourself. So check them out, bookingprotect.com. They are great people. They have been a great partner. They will be a tremendous partner to you. So bookingprotect.com. I am running a survey about the Business of Fun podcast, the Talking Tickets newsletter. The link is in the show notes. I need you to spend about 2 minutes filling it out so that you can help me deliver better guests, better content, better ideas to help you and your business recover. This thing will take 2 minutes. It's going to help me have better conversations and do a better job of giving you value. Speaking of value, I've talked about the importance of research. So check out the Net Promoter Score worksheet that I've created with my friends at Eventellect that helps you understand what the Net Promoter Score is, why it matters. It gives you some context around it and helps you create your own. Done the way that Eventellect and me and Dave do it. It's 3 questions. It'll take you 30 seconds to pull the thing together. It helps you get qualitative and quantitative data. It's a great, great tool to help you understand your customers better. Check out my friends at ActivityStream. We have a brand new idea that's in the works that we will probably be able to roll out in the next couple weeks. But ActivityStream.com, the new Activate tool, is a tremendous way to help you re-engage your customers. If you haven't been communicating either effectively or at all during the pandemic, there is no time like now to try to re-engage and reconnect with your audience. You need to do it. The Activate tool will help you. Check them out at activitystream.com. Now let me get to Corey Gibbs. That's Dr. Corey Gibbs. To you, to me, it's just Corey. Use MFer, right? I've known Corey for a long, long time, and we get into that. Corey has a brand new business called E3, and I wanted to have him on to talk about this because why does Corey need a podcast when he can just come on mine? But we talk about his new business, and we talk about the idea that drove him to start a business, right? And we share a common philosophy on the importance of customer service, on the importance of doing right by people, of building relationships, of long-term focus. So we talk about that. We talk about the state of the ticket business now. We talk about the challenges of creating tickets as a commodity, right? Which we're seeing the impact of more and more and more every day. It's bad news, right? We talk about some of the research that Corey did to help guide his decision-making process around the new business. We talk about the nature of service, the nature of pricing, the nature of delivering something that you can't get anywhere else. And we close out by looking at segmentation, targeting, positioning, which is the core of your strategy. We also talk about the power framework. We hit upon some fun stuff as well. Corey's running the New York City Marathon. He's raising money for the Ronald McDonald House, which is a partner, somebody I've done some stuff with over in the past. It's something that the NATB supports, and it's something that's close to Corey's heart. So that's great. So, make sure there's a link for Corey's fundraising page in the show notes as well. Then we finish it off by talking about Alabama, the University of Alabama, where Corey and I went to the University of Alabama. Lo and behold, we talk about it. We talk about the basketball team, the football team. We round it up with some bourbon talk, right? Because both of us love bourbon. So this is a lot of fun. This is a chance for me to catch up on air with somebody who's a really good friend of mine, Dr. Corey Gibbs on the Business of Fun podcast. All of this banter. Let me welcome my man Corey Gibbs back to the. Oh, hold on a second. Dr. Corey Gibbs back to the Business of Fun podcast here. We got to get formal today, Corey. What's up, man?
Oh, not much, buddy. Just, another lovely day in the fall. College football season is upon us and in full swing, and our world is getting back to a little bit of some state of normalcy, I would say.
Yeah. How are our stomping grounds of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where you are today?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama is always great, especially in the fall, and especially when your football team is hadn't lost since who knows? I can't even remember that far back.
That now. Yeah, so that's us being blowhards.
we don't have to remember that. I can say that when I'm not around other people, but no, it's great. Tuscaloosa is fantastic. It's this morning it was 61 and at sunrise, and campus was beautiful. Went out for a nice little run this morning across campus, which was great. And I tell people every day the most unscared animal in the world, unafraid of anything, is a University of Alabama quad squirrel. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, there are 1,000 squirrels running across the grass of the quad, and they will stand in the middle of the absolute sidewalk and look at you, and you have to run around them. I mean, they are not worried or concerned about anything, and it is comical.
Nothing's going to stop those squirrels. It's funny too that if you're out that early in the morning, I was telling somebody that like the best memory. I don't know if it's the best memory. I don't remember exactly how to phrase it, but one of the most unique memories was of in the morning when the crew team is dragging their boats down to the river, and I was just coming home to Patey Hall, and they would be dragging their things. So I was dragging myself up the stairs to the second floor of Patey Hall.
There was a lot of dragging going on, and in a lot of different ways.
Oh my gosh, yes. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. That's we'll get on to like the important stuff later. But you started a new business since the last time we talked, and obviously that's not news to me, but it probably is news to everybody here. So, why don't you tell everybody what you're up to?
Yeah, it's something that I as you know, I had been kind of toying with in my mind over the years. Being in the sports and entertainment and hospitality industry for now 26 years. That's been a long time, since August of '95, it seems like. You and I had talked years ago about how I just really, really had a kind of our industry as a whole had changed, completely from what it used to be to what it was. And it had over the years had shifted from a relationship-based business, which is what it was built on and what should have been built on, to more of a transactional, where people just logged on and Googled, an event or an experience they wanted to go to, and whatever popped up on the top of the first three lines, wherever they said how they could access that, they clicked it and they put in credit card numbers, and never got to talk to a customer service, and never knew exactly what they were buying, and had no idea if they were buying it at a good price or the right price or a fair price. And, over the years, that kind of really got to where it really was sticking with me. And, back when I went back and did my extra layer of education and did the PhD, my plan by doing that was to create and sculpt a program that would quote fix that situation. So what I did was I came up with an idea and built it through my dissertation. The new company is Elite Entertainment Experiences. It is a membership-based organizational structure. It is designed for the elite consumer. It's very exclusive. There are only an exclusive number of memberships. The format is, a member of the organization comes on as an E3 member, and with that, their member benefits include being able to buy at wholesale cost. So anything they want to buy, I go out, I source for them, and I help them buy that experience or tickets or entertainment, hospitality, anything that is in that realm at their cost. versus going and paying a national average of 23 to 30% of what you would say overage or profit. So they're able to buy it wholesale. Anyone that has any type of a inventory position or quote extras or anything they need to sell and liquidate, we also liquidate for our members at 100% return. So there's no margin take on that. So not only do they get to buy it wholesale and liquidate at full return, but they also get our experience of myself and my executive VP, Brittany Ezel. She and I combined have over 50 years of experience in the sport industry and the sports business industry. They get our reach, they get our network, they get our contact information that we're able to reach out and source for them, what they want, when they want it, how they want it, and at the price they should be able to buy it for versus just clicking online. And as you know, my customer service orientation, which I live and die on that sword, it's a very customer centric based business. We do the right thing for the right customer. Not saying that everyone is going to be the right customer. It's a very exclusive group, and it may not be right for person A, but it may be, and it just depends on the level of net spend. In essence, we're helping elite consumers reduce their net effective fee and increase their value of not only their return on their investment, but also the fact that they have a true customer service to enhance the overall consumer experience.
Right. So let me get this all straight here, and let me rephrase this so I think I have it. The business is built out of the idea that tickets have become transactional, a tactical thing, and they had become commoditized, which was to the detriment of the industry. Now you have now created a business that will allow you to become, and this is what got thrown at me probably 10 times a day when I was in the secondary market day to day. You have created a business where you can become people's guy.
Yes, correct.
Yes. And that's awesome, because I think that that's like one of the it's a service that's missing on the high end. And I know it's something that we've talked about before. It's like that is where there's a tremendous opportunity. It kind of captures that recovery plus volatility equals opportunity thing. And right now, events are starting to recover, and this is where I'm going to ask you, but they're not necessarily recovering the way that people thought they were, where it was demand like no one had ever seen before. And there's still volatility because things aren't coming back in an even manner, nor are things coming back in anything that would relate to normal. And so the opportunity cost for your people is that like they don't know what's safe to go to or what's available or what's happening, and you help provide some stability in that market. Am I wrong, or am I like over talking?
No, I think you're spot on, and I think that you hit the nail on the head without coming out and saying it. A year ago, college football season a year ago, we're looking at stadiums with 25% capacities. No matter which side of the fence you stand on, there were no vaccine opportunities at that point. Mm-hmm. There was concern. There was, mask orientation requirements. The overall experience of attending an event last fall was, to say it was different is an understatement, but to a lot of people, it wasn't enjoyable. But also the information that people were provided to understand what to expect going into that, whether it was coming from teams, schools, professional leagues, or venues or promoters, the communication was not very good. Let's be a nice way to put that. So that's one area that having someone that is in a very customer-centric, consumer-oriented mentality, we do that diligence for people and say, okay, this is what you're going to expect. If you want to go to, and I'm going to use two different spectrums. If you want to go to a concert in Miami, Florida, it's going to look an absolute hell of a lot different today than going to a concert in San Francisco, California today. Mm-hmm. Just because of where each city is in relation to where the recovery and the mandatory arrangements are. Florida's been open for a year. Let's just not kid ourselves. I mean, you've been in Miami, you know how it is. I was there last January for the national championship game, and the Fontainebleau bar was wide open. There wasn't a mask in sight, right, wrong, or indifferent. But today in San Francisco, you still pretty much need a hazmat suit to go into your grocery store. And it's not saying either is right or wrong. It's just that's informational. And you can't get that information by logging on and clicking on something and inputting your credit card and hitting buy. You have no idea. So that's one area of the consumer experience that we do. But the thing that you kind of hit on that I will say is, the pent up demand functionality that everyone was raving over, saying, oh, it's going to come back bigger and stronger and crazier. It did for a very brief period of time. Then the variant hits, and we got a little bit of a setback because people went, oh, wait a minute, now we got a spike. So it's a rolling, moving target, if you will, which is not a bad thing. It's just you've got to stay on top of it and just got to know your stuff, and that's what it boils down to. And unfortunately, as you have told me before, people are too lazy to go do their research in a lot of ways. I mean, they're too lazy to go do the research to know what, when, where, how, and why, and do it at the elite level. And that's what we are priding ourselves on doing on this new concept.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is so like you talked about Miami and you talked about San Francisco, and I'm pretty sure it's because the Traveling Dave Roadshow has been in both of those like in the last couple of weeks, and I was telling you how San Francisco is still largely shut down, but it still felt pretty safe. But it's not unusual to see everybody wearing a mask on the street, and so I was like, I guess I'll put my mask on the street because that's just how everybody feels comfortable, and that is totally cool. And what I think was happening and what's interesting about what you're doing is the idea that if you're an executive, if you're trying to entertain, because this demand thing, people are in different phases of being able to entertain again. People are in different phases of having comfort going to events. People are in different phases across the board about everything. And to understand, this goes to research, thinking that there's just this one size fits all solution to everything is just wrong. And right now, at least looking at the world of the ticket from my point of view, there's too many people who are just taking a one size fits all approach. And I think that it's probably leaving opportunities on the table for someone and something like you because of that. But you tell me, maybe I'm a moron again. No. I'm often the moron on this podcast. So it's fine.
And the opportunity street goes both ways. It offers an opportunity for someone to create, a business model that we have, and we're seeing, unbelievable, now that things have started back happening again, we're seeing the response has been incredible, to the point where, you and I've usually talk once or whatever, and I don't remember. Sometimes I wake up and I don't know what, like you said earlier, what day it is. The response has been absolutely incredible by the people that we've talked to about it, and we've been very, very calculated on who we're talking to. But you're right in discussing and going to the opportunistic aspect. It's a great opportunity for a business model like ours, but it's just as good of an opportunity, if not better of an opportunity, for that elite level consumer and executive consumer or higher spend individual, because they're not only able to wade back into this market in this entertaining and hospitality world, at a more a higher level of comfort, but they're also getting, for a lack of a better term, more bang for their buck, and they're getting the best customer service they've ever gotten in their life. You and I get that. You understand that it's the old centurion ways. It's taking care of people the right way.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I built like the whole the foundation of my whole reputation and my whole everything I've done is on that customer service thing that started with the nightclubs. It built up through the black card program, and it's gone on from there. And so, I'll be clear. It's like the idea that you're offering now is not like something that magically appeared because of the pandemic. It was just that the timing was right because of the pandemic, and you had a chance to like step back and think. And because, this idea of offering executive level, elite level spending consumers a unique and differentiated service is not new by any stretch of the imagination. What is new, though, is that people are paying attention to it, because here is just the biggest fact, and it's a secret, probably a secret that I can share with full understanding that nobody's going to steal it from either one of us, because I've said it 100 times before. I'm going to say it again. Those customers felt underserved by the teams, by the venues, by the brokers, by everybody before the pandemic started. And they were looking for ways to offload some of that spend because they didn't see the value in the purchases they were making. So if somebody came through and offered a better service, a more unique service, better ways to help corporate buyers understand and retain value, there was opportunity there. It's amazing that nobody has really like been serious about it before. I mean, we have, but I mean, we're just two people. And so the opportunity has only grown probably exponentially now.
It has, and that's exactly spot on. And it's also not reinventing the wheel. I mean, it's, anyone. I have people all the time, and that I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to say don't understand it, but people that it's kind of a foreign idea or concept. They're like, well, how could someone not just go out and once you launch this and just replicate it and it turns into, vanilla ice cream? Well, I mean,
they could, but they won't.
They could, but they won't, and they can't to that level, because the other ancillary tools of the secret sauce, if you will, to the recipe of our success is a lot of it is built on, around the analytics suite that I built. That is you've seen the results. I mean, it's I'm just going to go ahead and say, without patting myself on the back, it's pretty damn good of a predictive and prescriptive and aspect of analytics in regards to, projections of peaks and valleys of commodities, such as, entertainment tickets, as far as the values and the costs. I mean,
we actually used it on the Super Bowl, so let's not hide it from anybody. Like when I was running that contest on the Super Bowl, we used your tool to figure out what.
You still owe me a $25 Amazon gift card for winning. Let's not let that slip under the cover here.
Yes, I did not pay my $25. I think I did.
We did use it, and
check your receipts.
Check my receipts. Got it. Yeah, I mean, we did, and it it hit pretty dang spot on every single day. The valley, it showed the upticks and the downticks. It predicted the day that they would, within the 14 days when the teams were announced, it predicted the exact day that they would be the cheapest, and it predicted the exact day that it would be the most expensive, and it was the closest to the exact price at kickoff of anyone that quote unquote guessed, and I use that word loosely. I felt like I had a little extra tool in my pocket other than just guessing, which that's fair, but that's what members get.
Yeah, members get privileges, just like the old saying goes.
Members get privileges. We're going to probably get sued for saying that on the air, but that's okay. We didn't say membership.
No, we didn't. I was going to say we didn't say it exactly.
Exactly. So there we go. Fair enough. I like it.
And that's also just a sign of the strength of those brand codes. So,
exactly.
I talk about branding all the time, so that's fine. So let me talk to you then about a couple things that I think are important to understand when we're talking about this. We talked about the elite consumer, the willingness to pay for something that is a premium value, a premium service model. And that's and then you talked about people not doing their research, which, is a big thing I talk about all the time. And I also know that you did do your research, because we talked about it, because again, there's certain things that people they send me, they go, oh, did you see this thing? Or did you do you know about this thing? Or did you have anything involved with it? And I go, most of the time, if it comes to that level where you ask me if I was involved in it or know about it, it's probably because I worked on it, because I do my research. And so I want to know a few of the, help people understand the kind of research you did and the kind of like numbers that back up starting a business like this, just to show people like a little bit of the power of research.
Well, okay, look, and that's
this is when we're having a doctor on. We got to like ask doctor
that
type
could be
questions
that
now.
that could be a series of podcasts, but we'll do the cut to the chase version. You know, the research as a whole starts with the deliverance of value. That's where it all started to start. You know, the number one aspect is if there couldn't be a deliverable that revolved around offering a significant value to the end consumer, which in this case is the member, it wouldn't work. So, you know, it started with looking at, you know, we're talking about $100 billion industry that the consumers were, for lack of a better term, logging on, and whoever won the SEO battle on Google is who got the business. And on average, you know, the fees are 17 to 30% depending on who pays a buyer fee. And we're not going to use any specific marketplaces that are online, but we all know who they are. Depending on which one you log into, with buyer fees and seller fees, the end result is a 17 to 30% total. That's an average of about 23% to you know, and on the higher end, if you look at market share, it comes out to about, you know, 29.5%, let's say, give or take. Well, so the research showed that on let's just use $1,000 ticket. Let's just, or whatever, $100 ticket, $1,000 ticket, even number. So on $1,000 ticket to a college football national championship game, if the original owner, if inventory owner A owns a ticket and is willing to take $1,000 for it, and it goes online, and that the seller of that wants they're going to charge a seller fee to that person who's selling it of approximately 15%. Well, that's divided by 15. That's 176 of seller fees that get added on. And then the buyer is going to pay a 10% buyer fee, which is another $117.65. Well, your $1,000 ticket just turned into $1,294 and some change. So at that point, your margin difference is a little over 29.5%. Mm-hmm. So to me, you know, for a consumer that's spending $125,000, $250,000, $500,000, you know, your $1 million entertainment budget corporations in the country, I mean, do the math. You spend $1 million and you're paying $295,000 of overages of quote unquote profit. Look, that's too much. It's just, I mean, that's, for those people, that's two, depending on what market you work in, that's 2 or 3 employees that you're covering, or maybe more, depending on where you're at. So, you know,
well, let me ask you this. Yeah. Let me jump on that, because, you know, you're talking about the $1 million budget, and it's about 30% of that, which is not chump change by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And the numbers are important because they tell part of the story. Mm-hmm. But like you combined it too, because, you know, the research also tells you about the experiential aspect, and that like the people weren't necessarily happy with what they were receiving.
No, and that's the exact part that I was getting to next is for that $290,000+ that the $1 million client is spending, guess what they get for customer service? They get an online chat that's probably automated that tells them, thanks for attending your event. If you have any questions, please email us at info@. They have no phone number. They have no direct email. They have no follow-up. And guess what? If they get to the venue, or let's say they have no idea about, you know, they don't realize that, I'm going to use this as an example because you will get it. They don't understand that Tuscaloosa, Alabama is an absolute disaster for parking on game day. They don't have someone giving them a heads up of how or where they should park. They don't have an
Birmingham,
Alabama by Legion Field. You come back and, you know, you don't have a car, or, you know, whatever it is. I mean, if you're in Atlanta and you're on the Mercedes, or you're on the AMG club side of section 127, you do not want to be in the blue parking lot. I mean, you're walking 3 miles around and you have to go up the concourse. You want the red international deck parking. So they get none of that extra oomph, I would say, or that they don't get those extra little things that make it special and make it important. And for those $1 million clients, even the $125,000 level client or the 250 or 500, most of those individuals are not buying for, they may be going with other people, but they are going for entertainment value to return investment on their company to their clients. And it's our job to make sure each consumer has the absolute highest level of experience, and also their clients have the best. And the research showed that is failing miserably, absolutely miserably.
And this is like one of those things that I talk about this constantly, and I've talked about this. I don't know, how long have we known each other? 20 years or more.
More than that, yeah.
Yeah. More than that, yeah. I have been telling people for years, right? And this is, I probably go to my deathbed telling people this. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what you find valuable. It matters what the customer finds valuable. And one of the reasons, the big failings of the primary market or most brokers is that like they just assume like the person wants the ticket, they want this thing. And being able to give people, go in this entrance, not that entrance. Park here, not there. I remember, I can't tell you how much money I made over the years because I had greased somebody at Peter Luger's enough that I could get people a Peter Luger reservation.
It's incredible, and it's the extra things. It's not what people.
I can still get a reservation at Peter Luger's whenever I want one to.
Absolutely, and I might take you up on that here in November. The thing is, it's not the difference, and the difference making. And what differentiates people, especially in the hospitality and entertainment world, as you know, it's not what people pay for. It's what you give them and take care of them with that they didn't expect and they didn't pay for. It's, the under promising and over delivering, it has gotten way too commonplace for the, if you overpromise and underdeliver, you're absolutely dead in the water. Yeah. If you only deliver what you promised, you might as well be dead in the water, because if you're not going up, you might as well be going down. Even keel it doesn't work in this business. We sell. We don't. Our members aren't buying. They're not buying memberships. They're buying life experiences. We fill bucket list events. We fill people's bucket list, and at the end of the day, there's something about. People ask me, my favorite event, this, that, and the other, and you can go by research and whatever people say, but that's all personal, personal belief. To
perception.
Me, and the perception is different, of course. And the thing about it to me is, there's nothing more special than being at, there's nothing more special than being at Augusta National at 5:30 in the morning, and a guy walks up that's 55 years old with his dad who's 77, and they want to meet you at 5 o'clock in the morning to get their badges to go in, because this is something they've been dreaming about doing for their whole life. And when they come back at the end of the day, they've walked 8 billion miles, and the smiles you couldn't wipe off their face with sandpaper. And you created something, and I've used this for a long time. We want to create not just memories. We want for people to be able to say, I was there when blank, blank, blank. And we provide the blank, blank, blank.
I mean, absolutely.
And you can't sculpt when, you can't predict when this person's going to, set the record. You can't predict when Justin Tucker is going to kick a 66-yard field goal to win the game at the last second and set the NFL record. But any corporate client or elite consumer or whatever that took clients to that game, that's a whether they're a Ravens fan or whether they're a Texas Longhorn fan who loves Justin Tucker because he was the last one to beat Texas A&M in the A&M Texas game. You can't put a dollar figure on that memory. That's something that people will remember, and they associate that memory with a lot of times in the corporate world of the corporate entertaining of doing business with that person. I mean,
there's no doubt.
You can't quantify as much as you want to analytically quantify and put it in a PhD algorithm. That you just there's not a value to put on that, and that's myself and my team. We really understand the valuation of experiences and memories, and we are dedicated to providing that at a reduced cost valuation for the elite consumer, as well as giving them that experience and that service that's world class and unlike any other. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, no, it's just, you can't highlight that point enough, right? Because there's just so many. I mean, you hear these things all the time. It's like I talk about going to that damn bloody sock game at Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
And I didn't see not a single run the game, but it was still like the most amazing baseball experience I ever went to. Or, like the night I went to see Pearl Jam at Madison Square Garden and the floor shook for only the fourth time ever, right? I mean, like, these are things I remember the people I was with. I remember, everything about the night, right? And a lot of them, like, I remember going to, I'm fortunate that I work a lot with the Red Sox now, but I talk about how important Fenway Park has been to my career, because I've taken so many people to games at Fenway Park, and those business relationships have stood up over time, right? Because and it's just so true, and it's just a missed opportunity because people want to quantify and commodify, and drive the experience down to its most base form. Like I forget the name of the show, but it was an HBO Max show where it's like everything was like digitized and measured to such a point that it was lifeless. And that's like the danger that I think the industry is in danger of embracing, because things have become so anodyne and so removed from the personal and the physical and the emotional. But that's me, and that's my rant. What I do want to highlight, though, is that if people miss this, what you did talk about were four very important things that make up a strategy, which is that research component. We talked about how you segmented the market, and we talked about how you targeted specific people and how you're positioning. You have, and tell me if I'm wrong here, because I think positioning is something people misunderstand. You positioned yourself about you, because, and not necessarily against the competition, because it's about a higher level of service. It's about better understanding of the market. It's about understanding the emotional connection you create with customers and buyers. It's about you, not about the people you're competing against. Am I right in that way? Because I want to spell that out for people.
You're 100% right, and without sounding egotistical, but just being honest, I mean, and I'm even a competitive person. You know how I am. I don't see any competition here. I see the only competition.
I didn't tell you about my new business.
What's that?
I didn't tell you about my new business.
No, exactly. I don't see a level of competition here because of two things. Number one, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'm not guessing this. I know that there's not going to be a single person that has the drive and willingness to do and go the level of distance that we go to service our client. I know that I can guarantee that, and you understand that's built. That's my premise. That's how I'm built. So there's no competition there. There's really no competition on price, because if they're buying it at, our people that get to buy at wholesale cost, I mean, what are they going to do? Go buy them below cost and sell them to them below cost? I mean, it's kind of hard to keep your power bills on that. So we're not really because when you start competing on price, you lose anyway. So we removed the price competition discussion completely out. So you're right. I mean, we position ourselves on what we bring to the table, what we offer, what our benefits are to the consumer, how we distribute and perform within those parameters of our member benefits. And our positioning is about us. It's about, our deal is, across the board. It's exclusive, elite access, exclusive memberships, elite access, completely epic results, and extraordinary service. And out of that's what we do. That's how we do it. And yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We don't look at it as a competitive aspect on our positioning. We know what we are, and we do it very well, and we're going to do it very well for the people that it fits. And you also said too, I mean, on the product orientation for the membership base, it's delusional to think that this is for everyone, because it's not, and that's okay. And that's okay. Everything doesn't have to be for everyone. This is a very exclusive, segmented market that provides very elite access that turns into extraordinary results and service. And I've had people that have contacted us already and went to our website, eliteentertainmentexperiences.com, and put in a membership request to find out about the information. And I was very, very nice and very Alabama Southern sweet about it, to let them know it probably didn't work for them. Just that, it wasn't that level of, be more than happy to help them in other ways, but this program probably wasn't a great fit. And that's okay too, because they're not bad people and we're not bad people. They just didn't fit.
Could be an aspiration for them too over time.
And that's what we try.
That's awesome.
And that's what we let people know too is, just because someone doesn't fit today doesn't mean they're not going to fit or qualify next week, next month, next year. They may be really close. And when I say fit, it's not because I don't like the color shirt they are, or the fact that they're an Auburn fan or something like that. It's the fact that their quantitative spend and level, it doesn't fiscally make sense for them, and the ROI is not there for them when I say they don't fit.
And that just to be clear, that's just a great example of you targeting well, because you are making a choice. Targeting is strategy. It's like picking what you will do as much, or picking what you won't do as much as what you will do. And then I got one more point here before we get onto the fun stuff that we always talk about here. I dig the idea here because of, I talk about the power framework quite a lot now, and I've been working on a variation of it that I'll unveil at a later date. But against your competitors, you have a clear competitive advantage, right? Because you have a membership model which nobody else really has, and the pricing thing you've eliminated. You're also delivering a higher level of customer service for your customers. You're making it easier. You're making it easier to buy, better to buy. You're probably providing them better access to inventory than they can get on their own. All these things, it gives you strength again. And then over suppliers, because you are dealing with the high-end consumer, you have tremendous power over them as well. And it's like, and if you're viewing any strategy, you should look at it through the who's gaining power. And so I'm excited. But, I'm also excited because I've known you for fucking most of my life.
Well, that's true. Exactly. It's been a fun journey to watch both of our professional and every other types of careers take turns and lefts and right. And it's funny, people like us in this industry, it's not a straight shot up. Our life is not a straight shot up the 101. We turn left and take a detour and go over a bridge and get out of the car and walk across a creek on a log, and then come back and get back in the car and drive the other way 4 hours and turn around, but we still get to the destination, and that's kind of an interesting when the Forbes article came out and people were like, holy cow. I mean, you and I were out on a phone call, I think, that day. I started getting blown up and I didn't realize it was actually coming out. I'm getting phone. They're like, did you know you just got published in Forbes about, reinventing the world of ticketing through a membership program? And I was like, well, I knew we were going to do something. He's like, no, it just hit like 30 minutes ago. And I had people calling me like, well, how did you come up with this idea? I was like, through most of my things in life, just long-term planning and positioning and coming up with a true strategy. And that's what's wrong with a lot of our industries today. I'm not going to even get on that. We could talk for that for years, but there's just people go into stuff, whether it's any type of industry or business or decision-making, without a strategy. And I can't operate that way, and you can't either. I mean, that choice drives me crazy.
Choice, focus, action. And from action, you go act, review, adjust, and it's just a cycle. They feed each other, and
absolutely,
that's it. I mean, I'm grateful for the fact that people are more like chickens with their heads cut off, because it does provide me with a lot of opportunity. But it is very, very. It can be frustrating because it also harms everybody's ability to be successful to an extent.
For sure.
But let's get on to the fun stuff. So let's talk about the first thing here, which is you're going to run the New York City Marathon on November 7th, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. It was going to be last year, and I started the 10-second blurb of it is in September of 2000.
They didn't have it last year.
I know. Well, in September of year before last, I was coming up with kind of long-term goals, and one of my goals of the next 5 years was, at that point, I said I'm going to run a marathon before I'm 50 years old. And my fantastic wife goes, "That's a great goal. I love it." And I don't know, maybe 4 days later, she came home and I said, "Well, I'm running the New York Marathon it's coming up year." And she goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I found a way to run for the Ronald McDonald House Charities, which is a charity that's near and dear to our heart and our industry as a whole through the NATB." And I said, I'm able to, get a spot on the Ronald McDonald House Charities running team if I want to because of my stuff. She's like, "Okay." Well, she goes, "Well, I'll do it with you." So she and I both, and we trained up until last year, and then that fateful day that we got the email that said it's been canceled due to COVID. And of course, that was annoying and pissed me off. So I stopped training for a little bit. And I said, "I'm going to do it." Then we got the email that said, "You get your automatic guarantees for this year." So, yes, long story short, running the New York Marathon in person in New York City, November the 7th of this year, and have been training. I took you know how I am. I'm a very strategic, very calculated person. So I found a training program that works for me, and I've been staying to it regimented and doing my long runs every third week. Did 17-miler last Sunday in Austin, Texas at 6 a.m. before it gets 130 degrees. So then take a couple of weeks off of 7-milers and finish it up next Saturday with a 20, and then taper off up until the marathon. So it's exciting. Hopefully I don't die on the side of the road.
Oh, you'll be fine. And it's you might not even know this one here. This is maybe a new one for everybody. It's that I've run the New York City Marathon 4 times, and I've run 6 marathons. Period. So to me, it's the most exciting endurance event ever. It's like the best. So I'm excited that you're going to get a chance to experience it. It's the greatest day ever in every year in New York, no matter what. I mean, full stop. It's the most. It's just. It was like the first time I did it. It was the most emotional thing that had ever happened. I just couldn't hold it together. I was so excited to have done it. So I'm excited for you to have a chance to do it. It's going to be awesome.
Everyone tells us that. They say when you come over the 59th Street Bridge and there's millions of people lining the streets, cheering and music, they're like, if you can get to mile 16 through the adrenaline areas,
take you to
you're fine. They said you don't even realize that you're running the last 7 or 8 miles. It's just
those miles up First Avenue when people are standing there yelling and it's like echoing off the walls. It's unbelievable. It's really, really cool. And I'm going to include the link to the Ronald McDonald Charities because it's a great organization. They have a location in New York City that's on in the 70s. Yep. Over the years, I totally have been a huge supporter as well. So, I mean, it's a great organization to support. Now, let's talk about, should we do Alabama first or should we do bourbon first? That's a good one.
I mean,
let's go Alabama. We'll wrap up with the drinking because that's how we end our days most of the time. So, am I going to see a basketball national championship? I'm not used to the basketball team being so good. Should I be looking forward to? Should I be flaunting the success of the basketball team now?
The basketball team is going to be very good again. Unfortunately, this year, I think that the 2 injury bugs that hit them the last couple of weeks, month or so, will play a role. Unfortunately, last year was very, very, very fortunate to not have a lot of difficult injuries. This year they had a couple early. Depending on if those guys can get back, they can be. I mean, pre-injuries the last month or so, I think they were looking at competing to be a number 1 overall seed. The one thing that they have done very well is scheduling. They've prepared themselves, and I will say that is, and with that, I will give a very quick shout out and credit to a couple of good friends of mine at HD Intelligence. They 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 took over a program of analytics that they go in HD Analytics. I'm sorry, HD Intelligence. Colton Houston and Matt Dover, two Bama guys. Colton was the Alabama Director of Operations, for 9 years, and then Matt was Alabama guy that also went and got a master's at Harvard in analytics. They help colleges and universities and sports programs, basketball, with their scheduling based on analytics of how it will affect their, RPI and their index and whatever, the methodology of how to get into the tournaments and your RPI rankings. So Alabama has been using those guys, and they've done a really, really good job of scheduling. I mean, this year, look, they're going on the road. Coach said when he got here, he's not scared of playing people. He'd play them anywhere, anytime, anyhow. And he's traveling to Seattle to go play Gonzaga. That's a place where it's kind of like Oklahoma State and Iowa State on Thursday nights, where dreams go to die, like Les Miles used to say. But that is a very good question that you have. Is do I expect them to win a national championship this year? I don't. Do I expect them to?
That's my only question is, should I go ahead and get the confetti ready?
No, you should not. But maybe go ahead and start planning for confetti, because I will say, if he stays here and continues to build the program like he's doing, I think you're going to see the University of Alabama playing in the Final Four within the next short term, and I would not be surprised if you see a national championship in basketball.
See, this is what I'm here for, because you're closer to the basketball program than I am. So Nick Saban's going to coach forever, right? Like he's gonna outlive me, and we're going to get another 10 to 12 national championships before it's all said and done. Is that the other thing that's on people's mind?
I'm sure it's on their mind. I don't know how deep into that I want to say you're right on, but I don't think he's retiring this year. Let's call it that.
Yeah, I actually got to bring the boy down to see him so he can start recruiting him now in fifth grade. Sixth grade.
Coach Saban likes coaching too much. He doesn't really have any other hobbies other than he'll play golf, and he likes tarpon fishing and going to the mountains and taking care of the grandkids now. He would lose his mind if he had to sit at home or quote unquote retire. And he's in as greatest shape as you and I are, or better. He plays basketball. He does. He's in good shape. He's fine. He had the hip replacement, which was fantastic. That helped a lot. I see him walking the sidelines. Let's put it like this. I see him playing Oklahoma and Texas a few times before he leaves. And we know that's not supposed to happen until 2025, which I'll believe that when I see it. But I think it has to happen before that. But
Oh, I'm sure that'll be
another story.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't for in the next, maybe not next year, because the schedule comes pretty quick. But if it's not the year after, I would be surprised.
Yeah, they announced the schedule the other night, so that's a done deal for next year. I think I could see it going 2 years, so they get the home and home. They don't disrupt the non-conference games that are already in place, like the Texas-Alabama game, which is next year. In Austin, and then back to Tuscaloosa the next. I could see 2024 being the first year of the new full-fledged conference.
Yeah. All right. So now let's turn. I just wanted to work in and rub the success of Alabama in people's face for a moment since we're together. Let's talk about one final thing that we both dig into, and that's bourbon. Because I think we always talk about the bourbon, and you told me that there's something I'm supposed to know about called the King's Family Distillery 14-year-old Homer's Hazmat. Is that correct? It's the 6th strongest bourbon in the world. Is that right?
It was, yes. It's kind of crazy. I stumbled across it through a buddy of mine. And He said, "You want me to send you a bottle of it?" And I said, "Sure." And then I got it. And I looked at it, and I'm like, I can't open this and drink all this. It might die. 142.1 proof, 70.05% ABV, 14 years distilled in there in Kentucky. It was different. It was hot, to say the least, obviously at 142, but it didn't, just to taste it, it didn't taste like what you would expect. I mean, I know you're a big Stag Junior guy. That's usually a 132 to 134 this year, 127 across the board. But that can be kind of hot. And then, the Elijah Craig barrel proof, some of those, like the C919 here, that was 136.6, that was like drinking jet fuel. I mean, it's something about the time, the timing, obviously, and the longer it sits there, you get a 14 to plus 20-year-old type bourbon. It's got some time. I'm going to sample that when you drink it. Don't be walking around because you might not be upright very long. But no, it's the bourbon world is kind of interesting right now. The craze is still insane. The Netflix original heist deal about the Pappy Gate, where the stolen barrels and the millions and millions of dollars sold out the back door, and my buddy Wright Thompson, his book Pappy Land hit and wide open, which was
great book,
incredible read. If anyone hasn't, Pappy Land, it's a story of the whole Van Winkle family and how it happened, and how Julian and the group brought it back from the dead, per se. And it talks a lot about how their family really was entrenched in that world, and how they're legends. I mean, they're just absolute legends up there. And you know how Wright is. He encompasses whatever he writes, whether it's a story about a family on SEC football game day, or a tailgate, or a diners and hamburger place in the back road of Oxford, Mississippi, or Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He can paint the picture incredibly, and that Pappy Land book is an absolute incredible read that I highly suggest.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to like bourbon to enjoy the book.
No, because it tells a fantastic,
interesting story.
Absolutely,
it's the story of the family, and really, it's about Julian really discovering his family.
Yes.
Now, of course, it's about bourbon, but it's really about a guy discovering his family. It's awesome.
Well, you can't talk about the Van Winkle family if you're not talking about bourbon. That's pretty much hand in hand there.
It's true. So final one then, because you always give me recommendations. What should I be having? What should I be seeking out right now? Give me something like that is accessible for everybody, because I'll tell you, spend crazy money on stuff, and that's not everybody.
One that you can find, I'll go a couple of routes that you can find on the shelf right now, in most cases that are not your crazy allocated stuff that you got to go stand in line and on one leg and pay a stupid amount of money on a secondary market, but things that you can walk into a Total Wine or a Specs or a Kroger, if they sell them there, Costco, and buy is a new one on the weeded side, which is going to be more in line with a Weller product, is Old Elk. So Old Elk, the Old Elk wheated, especially if you can find the store pick of it, is incredible. It is a really nice bottle. I think it retails around 65, 68 maybe. If you can find it, it's a little more difficult to find. I think you may have already had this. The new 2021 Booker's Tagalong batch is incredible. One of the better Booker's batches. It's as good or better than the Pigskin, which I know you really liked.
What was the one we really liked? That was the honey baked, not the honey baked.
The peanut, the like
peanut brittle, yeah.
Granny's batch. Granny's batch was a peanut brittle, which was incredible. My favorite Booker's ever of all time was the 2019-03 Country Ham. I think that was probably the best one I've ever had. But the new Booker's is good. Old Elk is one to go find. to kind of get out there a little bit on a different flavor profile, but it's really nice, is Woodinville, which is out of Washington.
Yeah.
So Woodinville out of Washington. I do not care for the straight one that they have. The port cask is incredible. So the Woodinville port cask barreled is absolutely amazing. And one that's not, I'll give you a last one that is not as easy to find, but in certain areas it is, if you're lucky and you have different, like it's easy to find in Ohio. I'm not sure how it is in DC or other parts, but the Elijah Craig toasted barrel, that is probably right now one of my favorite drinkers. It's got that toasted charred barrel taste to it. It's smooth as it can be, as the weather turns a little colder, it's a really nice bottle. But yeah, it's the old elk is something brand new that I just stumbled on that you definitely need to check out. When I get back home to Austin, Texas, I'll send you a sample of that when I send you the King's Family, because that's something you need to try.
See, the people get both the right and wrong impression about us. Most of the time when we're talking, it's not about tickets; it's about booze. So.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I send out more samples of stuff that I have than I drink, and that's just how I am. That's my personality, my mentality. If I like something, I want someone else to experience it, which is how I got into this industry and how I love live events, and I love seeing people smile and fill buckets. And whether that's with bourbon or tickets or experiences or sending someone my 9-page document and contact list for Providenciales, Turks and Caicos, or wherever it is, if people are going to do something and I have any type of an edge or help I can give them, that's how I am.
The pandemic has done this one thing, right? It's made you, I think it's made both of us, right, realize that like the things that are most important are like the people, which seems kind of trite and like BS, but at least for us, I think it has been like going, it is more important to make sure that like you keep the people that are meaningful to you close to you, and then like you're good to the people around you when and then if they are good to you, though, I'm not kissing your ass. That's a good. I'm not doing that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Totally.
All right, let's plug. Let's do some plugs, because I know you got a call to get to. Plug away, man. What are we plugging here? How do people find you on the internet? What's the new website? Let's do it. Let's sell.
There you go.
Let's sell.
Website, I appreciate it. I appreciate you and your support and help too. Website is eliteentertainmentexperiences.com. Online, you can search it there. You can find us there. You can find me on LinkedIn under Corey Gibbs. My email is corey@eliteentertainmentexperiences.com. People can contact me with any questions or thoughts or ideas or advice, requests, suggestions, tickets, bourbon, travel, you name it. If I can help, I'm there. If people are interested in reading our Forbes article, they can Google that online, as well as it's under our experiences tab on our website. A link to it is there as well.
Soon there'll be a podcast there too, like on there. It'll be awesome.
I think that is absolutely the case. I think we got to make that happen. But yeah, it's we're excited and look forward to it. Our E3 Professionals is our at E3 Professionals is our Twitter handle. Mine, as you know, is at I'm Your Ticket Guy, which I've had for a while. Which you started this by saying, this was designed to create someone to have a guy, and so that's what we try to do, and that's what we're planning to do for time to come, is to transcend this industry into an elite membership model to take care of people and get them what they deserve, how they deserve, and when they deserve it.
Yeah, no, and it's I should mention it because I did make a note of it that I was going to bring it up and I didn't talk about it at all. Definitely email Corey if you want to find out about the influencer program, because he never talks about it, but it's a really cool way to refer people into some kind of environment like this to help people. Maybe you can't help them, but you can refer people to Corey because he has a like a white glove service. Check that out. Email Corey and find out more about that as well, because I wanted to plug that because I made a note to ask him about it and I didn't because I suck sometimes.
We all swing and a miss every now and then, Dave.
No, I try to hit a lot of singles and a few strikeouts, so I'll call this definitely a full count here. So
you're the Tony Gwynn mentality. You whiff very few times, but you don't hit many of them out the park, right? A lot of seeing eye singles, but you bat over 350. So there you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get a lot of RBIs though.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Absolutely, you too, brother. We appreciate it and look forward to hearing from anyone that has any questions. And always love coming on the Business Fun podcast and look forward to the next.
Let me know what you thought about my conversation with Corey by sending me an email. It is my name, Dave@DaveWakeman.com. Make sure you get the Talking Tickets newsletter. You can get it by sending me an email, again, at my name, Dave@DaveWakeman.com, or visiting TalkingTickets.substack.com. Important to know, there's no www before that. Just TalkingTickets.substack.com. Get the newsletter, 5 stories, analysis, action items, ways to make money and fill seats. TalkingTickets.substack.com. Check out my friends at Booking Protect. It goes without saying that 30+% of people taking up refund protection should tell you something about people's behavior. And that is that people are looking for the security and peace of mind that comes from being offered refund protection during a pandemic. That is twice the rate that people were taking up refund protection before the pandemic. Check them out, bookingprotect.com, and find out how you can offer refund protection to your customers and deliver a new revenue stream to your organization at bookingprotect.com. Make sure you fill out my survey that's in the show notes about Talking Tickets and the business of fun. I want to know how I can deliver better value to you, better guests, better content. So check that out. It'll take you about a minute to 90 seconds really to fill the whole thing out. Get my worksheet that I created with my friends at Eventellect about Net Promoter Score. We tell you what Net Promoter Score is. We tell you who some of the best and worst with Net Promoter Score. We tell you why it matters. And we tell you, most importantly, how to do a survey of your very own. The way we teach you is 3 simple questions. It'll take you 30 seconds to put it together. But the information you gain from knowing about this is invaluable. You can't put a price on it because it will help change your business. I guarantee it. You can get that by emailing me, Dave@DaveWakeman.com. And then finally, check out my friends at Activity Stream. The new Activate email marketing platform program is a great way to help you figure out how to re-engage with your audience. A lot of people maybe didn't have the time or resources to engage with their audience during the lockdowns or throughout most of the pandemic that we've had to deal with so far. It's a great time to start communicating now if you have it. You don't want to fall even further behind. Habits are changing. What people value is changing. A lot is changing. So check out Activity Stream at activitystream.com. Learn about the platform, learn about the Activate program, and there's rumors of a roadshow coming up. So check them out. As always, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks for listening. Take it easy, all right?